now proudly presented on SNME. That's Sunday night's main event. Patreon and free feed.
We just people from the north side. Want some Timmy's at the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side. Want some Timmy's at the shore fine.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's your host, your boy George Mackay, back here. It's June. The sun is shining. It's beating down. It's hot over here in Ontario. I know it's got to be hot over in Staten Island. I love staying in Staten Island. Staten Island is awesome. Anyways, please help me welcome Staten Island's favorite son, the one and only Vinny Pacifico. How are you, sir?
Doing very good. Thank you for having me. And yes, it is very hot here. Terrible.
Well, what about the Jersey Shore? You can go to the shore, can't you? You know, cool off?
I can, but it's packed right now. It's 94 degrees and so many people that are sweaty, you know, gross. I'd rather not. I mean, listen, I don't mind a nice beach day, but on a day like today or yesterday, definitely not.
Well, absolutely, I could agree with you. We don't have a lot of beaches down here in Ontario, but when we do, they're pretty much the same. They get overcrowded very quickly and get filled up with a lot of sweaty, sometimes smelly people. I'll be honest with you. Some people just are great human beings, but they stink. They stink. People stink. Yeah, they do. They
Get away deodorant.
They absolutely, you got it. They don't. A lot of people, for some reason, on beach day, they're like, "I'm not going to wear deodorant today." No. Do the beach community a favor. Wear deodorant. It's very simple. Very simple. All right, Vinny. Let's talk before we switch into gears about like your career and everything like that. Which you've been on a few podcasts. Your history is incredible. You've been in this business for 10 years. This crazy mixed up world of wrestling. Let's talk about what you got going on this summer. I know summer is packed, but you are going to be heading to the UK. And I believe if I've done my research correctly, this is either your first time or your second or third time going out to the UK. Second, okay.
Second in England. Second time in England. I'm gonna be going to Finland first for Slam Wrestling. They're incredible over there, so I'm very excited for that. Got Slam Wrestling in Finland. 3 shows over there. Then I fly over to England. I got 3 shows. I believe 1 was canceled, so we're still looking for some more dates. Right? We had 4 at first. 2 canceled. I got 1. Now I'm add some more. You know, some things are just like so jumbled. You know, it's a few months out, so like people aren't running, they're canceling, they're starting again. So, you know, I'm trying to get 4. I'll be happy with 4 in a week. You know, 4 was what I had at first. I'm happy to get that again. And then I go to France. I have, I believe, 3 shows in France. So really excited for this. You know, it's the whole tour. You know, we go from Finland to England to France, and these places are very, very good promotions and people to work with. So I'm really stoked. England, again, some of the best talent in the world. Dean Olmark, you know, he's somebody I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle him very bad. He's very, very good. And people out there like Robbie X. There's so many guys who just I want to get in the ring with because they do the style of wrestling I love most. You know, I love technical wrestling. I don't do it enough. And that's one of my best things I'm best at, and like in my forte, I feel like. So looking forward to it. I'm looking to see who I'm gonna be wrestling, and you know, ready.
Absolutely. Listen, we got a taste of what French fans are like, especially with the WWE just completing one of their events over there, their PLEs. We can't call them pay-per-views anymore, so we got to call them PLEs. But that France crowd is wild. And if they're wild at a mainstream show like WWE, the indie show has got to be off the chain.
Yep. I'm excited. You know, France is going to be hot. You know, it's August, so it's going to be hot out there. But you know, the talent they have is very underrated. You know, I did some research. I saw they got some pretty good people out there, and you know, HCP is a pretty dope company, and I'm really blessed with this opportunity. It came. They were like, "Hey, Vinny, we want to use you, whatever," and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to be in England and the UK in August," and then they were like, "Oh, perfect. We'll book our shows this time, and if you're available that week, yes." So boom, that was it. Pretty easy, and yeah, so like I'm very excited for France. The food I heard is incredible, so I'm ready for that too. So yeah, it's like a lot of fun stuff going on. You know, a lot of really cool opportunities, new debuts. You know, I'm going to be in Canada July 14th for Alpha One Wrestling. That's another one I'm really excited for. So just a lot of really cool stuff going on, and I'm blessed because it's just it's a heavy grind, but when you see things pay off, it's beautiful.
It absolutely is. The grind is one of the most taxing. I mean, even for us as a podcaster, I don't train, I don't step into the ring every week, but I'm grinding my full-time job, trying to mix family, balancing my 2 daughters, my wife, all that stuff. You're well, congratulations. You're recently married. You're, I believe, just over a year now or just under a year?
Oh, November. So like a few months.
Oh, perfect. I'm born November, so November's great. You celebrate your anniversary and my birthday. That's amazing.
Yep.
You did that on purpose. We've never met before, but you did it on purpose. I know
I
you
did on purpose.
did. So tell me about balancing. I want to before we switch back to the UK stuff, I want to talk about balancing being newly married and pro wrestling because there are no days off in wrestling.
I will say, I've been incredibly lucky to find a woman who's as supportive as she is. There's not many out there, I feel like, or at least who understand at this to this extent. I was in Japan for 4 days, 5 days, and it's just, or the day after her mother died, I was booked for AEW in Seattle, and she was supportive of that. So it was just eye opening to see how supportive she is, and I say this all the time. A supportive partner is a superpower. So I use it to my advantage. I use it. Motivation. I'm lucky she trusts in me. She has faith in me to do these amazing things, and I'm gonna make sure I do them best of my ability because I got people depending on me. And I met her when I was 20. I was in Ring of Honor at the time, or 19. I was in Ring of Honor at the time, and she saw me at Ring of Honor, and then she saw the pandemic, and she saw not much wrestling. So she saw me at the top of my game, and then she saw me during the pandemic not do as much because wrestling was slow at the time to back into wrestling, to heavily back into it. So it's like she was there for everything. She was there for my Evolve debut, and she just saw all these cool things happen, and then COVID, and then she stuck with me. During COVID, I had a few shows here and there whenever I could, and then went back into swing of things. It was heavy going, and she was down for it all. And she occasionally I'll bring it with me to like different locations. She'll go like say we go to Toronto. She'll come, but she won't go to the show. She's like she'll go to the show maybe, but she's more so going to hang out with me and be with me. So sometimes she stay at the hotel, she'll relax. We'll do something, whatever it may be. But I make sure to always include her. I try to include her sometimes when I travel. Bring it with me, which I think is awesome. It's so cool getting to travel the world with my best friend. And so yeah, that's how it's been. Married life has been really good. Like again, I'm lucky because she's very supportive and she understands the grind and she's supporting of it. So that's just I can't say anything better than that, right?
Absolutely. Listen, me and my wife have been together for 22 years. We've been married for 17, and we're blessed with 2 kids. And when I started this podcast 8 years ago, the grind was there. I was working late. Sometimes I was interviewing some people from Japan. I was up at 12 a.m., got to go to work at 4. I was up at 12 a.m. Doing the interview because that's the time change over there. Then going to work, coming back, being with the family, sleeping at 8, 9 o'clock at night because I'm exhausted. And she gets it. She understands it. Even now, today, I got home. I literally ate, got dressed, freshened up a little bit, took a shower, came right downstairs. I've had my 19th cup of coffee, but it's all worth it because I get to have amazing conversations with talents like you. And that's what I'm blessed for because here at Straight Talk, that's what we do. Conversations are key. It's all about learning about who you are, but also mixing in some of those fun tidbits. So in doing my research, before we go back to promoting the UK, doing my research, you had some incredible minds at a very early age that you were blessed to kind of get some. But one thing I want to talk about, one thing I have to talk about is you posted a throwback picture of you and Hurricane Helms and Rosie at a show your first year in.
Yeah.
Now, the caption says, mid-match, we took a selfie. I need to know more about how do you take a selfie mid-match during a crazy 6-man tag wrestling? How do you pull off a selfie, bro?
So there was a wrestler who had there's a wrestler who was Too Hot Steve Scott. He has he does the selfie character thing, so or the phone in the ring a lot. So Hurricane grabbed the phone, went to the corner, took a selfie. That's how it happened, and it was so cool. He was so much valuable insight from that night from Rosie and Hurricane. Like them two were just that was a crazy night, and Hurricane was so willing to give more and more advice throughout the night, and just so helpful, and such a great moment for me. And I still don't even remember how it even happened. Like they were like, "Hey, Vinny, this match is happening tonight." It was like, "Oh, okay." And I believe always make the most of every opportunity given, whether it's big or small. You make the most of every opportunity. I was trained by Ring of Honor, and I was getting to learning from the best in the world. Gresham, Cheeseburger, Delirious, Will Ferrara, Red Titus, and these people are just such brilliant minds. And I made sure to always make sure to listen as much as possible. And the ring time, me and Delirious would wrestle for hours on end. And yeah, I owe it all to them. I'm lucky.
Absolutely. Listen, when you're in a ring sharing but what I see from you is even though you're 10 years in the game, you're a student of the game. And I mean that with
Yep.
the utmost respect because it seems every time there's an opportunity, no matter what it is, like in doing my research, again, you posted something else where you said, literally, my first match, one of my first matches, my work wouldn't give me the time off. So I just quit. Luckily, I had another job lined up, but I just quit because you have to take these opportunities.
Oh
And
my
that's
God.
huge.
I'll tell you that story right now. So I got the opportunity to, travel with and learn from Zack Sabre JR for a weekend. And they offered me a spot on the show, right? And this company, they knew weekends I need off. Friday, Sunday, I need off. And they were always cool with that, right? Friday, I mean, occasionally Fridays when, there's not always shows running on Fridays, but they were very understanding of my schedule that I needed to be away weekends and occasionally a Friday or Thursday, whatever it may be. The job was very understanding of my schedule, right? They were understanding that I needed this time off, but they scheduled me for that day on a Saturday. And I'm like, I can't outwork this day. I cannot. I'm sorry. This opportunity is way too big for me to pass up. And they had nobody to cover for me. And I was like, but these people like said they would. And they just, that day they said, then they just decided not to, I guess, right? So I had to quit and it was terrible. But I said, and again, this opportunity stems to like learning so much about like technical wrestling. So it was worth it, right? And I did have a job lined up at the time. I was like 17, so it was not that big of a deal. But I believe always have something lined up, always have something, but yeah. And it was worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to share a car from Zack Sabre. From what I read in the article, he watched your matches. He watched your match at the show. He gave you feedback, and he's still very much involved in feedback from you. It seems like you guys still have a great relationship to this day.
I love him.
Absolutely. But of course, you did get kind of coerced into some shit talking where you ended up calling him a wanker. I mean, I'm sure he respected it.
I did.
But
I did.
It's okay. At the end of the day, it's all love because you and Zack is somebody that I really respect. I love his style. I love the hard hitting. And I absolutely love what you do in the ring. One of my first memories of you is seeing you recently, a couple of months ago, I want to say, at MLW. I wasn't live in the building, but I saw you at a couple MLW tapings, and you were fantastic. And it was great to see what you could do, your progression, even from as little as last September when you were on AEW to now. Like, you are making the most of every opportunity. You're hungry. If people don't know, like you said, ROH, you've been on ROH TV, you've been on AEW a lot of times, you've been on NXT. You are taking every opportunity, you're running with it, but you're also doing one thing that's key in wrestling, and that's leaving an impression. If people don't know you, by the end of the match, they know you. And that's huge in pro wrestling. And that's something that I want to tip my hat to you. And that's because of the education you got. And you really are fantastic. So switching back to the UK tour dates that you've got, all the European stuff you got. Finland, it's a different style.
Oh my God.
Okay, it's a different style. France, it's a different style. But one word, is Vinny Pacifico as much of a chameleon as I know he is? Are you adaptable on the fly? Can you work that Finnish style and be successful over there in that world?
I'm sure, 100%. Because first of all, I love being tested. I love challenges, right? I love it. I went to Japan and it was so different, but I adapt. And that's something that I think is one of my best attributes, is that I could adapt very quickly, and I could, I'm like water, malleable, right? I could, so that's what I believe. And I'm ready for this. Yeah. Like, Finland wrestling is going to be, that's crazy to me. UK, I've been there before. I love that style. I love it. It's just something I love doing. And then France is a whole different style. So it's going to be very different, but I'm ready for it. I'm excited for it. And I'm ready for the challenge.
Absolutely. And now you're going to be debuting over there. You're going to be bringing that Staten Island, that American flavor to all these places. Now, as we know, as much as everyone loves pro wrestlers, not everyone loves pro wrestlers from the States. You really got to show and prove if you're from the States. Canada, even in the same way, Canadian fans, listen, I'm a Canadian fan. July 14th, when you come, we're going to be very respectful. But at the time, if you're going up against one of the Ontario indie faithful, you're not going to stand much of a chance. We will boo you. We'll respect you after, but during the match, we're going to hate on you all kinds. And so I guess my next question is, how do you adapt to crowds that are hostile? Because I know you've wrestled in hostile crowds. How do you adapt to hostile crowds? But not only how do you adapt, how do you win a hostile crowd over?
Great question. kind of. I was at Barrie, Canada, and I wrestled Mark Wheeler, and that was a hostile crowd. They hated me, and I won them over. Yes, I like you said, but it took a lot of just being the best me possible and doing what I do like to my best of my ability, and just being different than anybody else in the card. Right? That's something that you need to really that's something that needs to be done. You have to stand out. You have to be different. You have to offer something that others don't. So that's what I think in wrestling is very needed for other talent or just talent in general, because there's so many wrestlers do the same thing, And Mark's the man. So like it was a challenge with him because a lot of people they love him. They love him. But it was a really good match. Probably like a 20-minute match. It was crazy. I was so beat up afterwards. But yeah, after that match was done, the crowd was really behind me. So I'm very glad that that match happened because it was a really, really cool opportunity.
Absolutely. Mark Wheeler is he's a good friend of the show. He's been on the show a lot of times. And now that I see him, I'm gonna have to tell him, I sat down with Vinny, and Mark Wheeler's great because Mark Wheeler's not liked in a lot of places. Mark Wheeler actually has that face that you want to hate. He's a great human being, but for whatever reason in the ring, he gets that organic hate heat. Now, has there ever been a situation when you go in as like the baby face into somebody else's house, but just because you're in another person's house, you automatically become the heel just because the crowd is like, nope, this guy's not worth, this guy doesn't deserve to be here fighting our guy. How do you deal with a crowd like that?
You kind of got to just give them what you give them, happened recently in Pennsylvania. They love this guy I was wrestling against, Facade. And I was like, oh, I was like, okay, they hate me. They love this guy. So let's just give them a show. I was just like, wow, shocked, because I mean, again, he's very good, right? But they were just like so hostile, like cursing at me, fingers, all that stuff. And I'm like, I didn't even do it. What did I do to deserve this? But then I ran with it. I was dirty, ran with it, gave him did some dirty shit to him. So you gotta run with things. Sometimes you gotta go on the fly and just run with things. If the crowd hates me, screw it. Make them hate me even more.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's the best way to put it is if you're not making enemies, you're not making money, right?
Yep.
That's the truth of the matter. 150. So UK, you're going to be adaptable. You're going to be a chameleon. You're making some great debuts. I mean, you talked about the French food. I'm sure I've never experienced Finnish food, but I'm sure the Finland food is amazing as well. But I mean, I am Scottish. I'm from Canada, but my heritage is Scottish, and I'm also Italian.
Oh, wow.
Half Italian. I'm a mixed bag. But Scottish food is phenomenal. Okay. English food is phenomenal. You know what's weird is that I actually had a couple wrestlers from here go over there and tell me that the best Italian food they ever had was in Scotland. What do you think about that comment? That's pretty crazy, right? That the best Italian food they ever had. You got to test it, man. You got to test it. And of course, I mean, are you open to trying new cuisines? Are you open to trying like a haggis or, a Yorkshire pudding? Are you open to try these type of things?
Yes. I eat anything.
Okay. So you like, if you ever go out to like the South American side of stuff or, out to, the Caribbean places, you might even be eating bugs and stuff like that. Like, are you up for that kind of stuff?
Not bugs, but I'm into like sushi. I guess it's not really different, but liver.
Yeah, there you go. Liver.
Organ meat. Organ meat is very healthy for you, so I tend to try to do that as much as I can, health reasons. But yeah, I want to go to Scotland very bad, so that's something that I want to do again. So I definitely would be down to try the Italian food in Scotland.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the British strong style wrestling and the UK tour that you're playing, like you said, you've got one date, you had 3, you have 1 now because a couple shows canceled. But
I think I have 3.
You have 3? Right, okay. So you're looking for 4. You're looking for 1 more.
4 or 5, as many as I can, obviously. But, I'll be happy with 4. If that's a week, it's 4 in a week. It's good.
That's absolutely great. ICW, Progress, are these on your list to try to get on in any capacity? I mean, I think I know he's injured right now, but I think you and former ICW champion Leighton Buzzard, if you haven't faced him, I think you two would have a fucking banger. Excuse my language, but you guys would have a fucking banger of a match, dude.
I like that.
You guys are very similar in your styles, and you're also cocky, but cocky with the absolute knowing that how good you really are, and that's not being, it's not being conceited, it's being real. You guys are the real deal. And like I said, I love watching you work. And you've talked me into July 14th, so I got to make it down there now so I can see you in person and see you tear it up. But when it comes to I guess the European side of stuff to going over to the other side of the world, is there any other places that are on your bucket list before the end of this year? Like you got UK, you got France, you got.
Well,
Are you trying to get anywhere else?
I am booked. I have November. I have a tour in other side of Europe.
Nice.
So far, they're piecing it together with me, right? The company they're working together, but as of right now, it's Romania and Netherlands.
Wow.
But they're trying to piece together Hungary, Poland, and Germany all on that same tour. So that's
Bro,
November.
could you imagine the food you're gonna get over there? Oh my god, dude, you're gonna have to come back just to tell me about all the food you ate.
I'm gonna be fed. I'm sure of that.
Absolutely. So before I let you go, when it comes to Vinny Pacifico and like I said, being able to be adaptable and making people remember, and that's the key thing that I want to let my fan base know is that I remember Vinny Pacifico from MLW. I remember Vinny Pacifico from ROH. I remember seeing Vinny Pacifico progress and get even better. But when does Vinny Pacifico level up? When do you reach those moments where you think you've hit your ceiling and you punch through? Have you hit your ceiling yet, or do you still have so much more in terms of getting to that next level?
There's so much more. There's always growth. I think there's never a chance to like ever be done growing, right? I believe I'll grow even when I'm on TV every week. I believe I'll be. I think that's going to be the. That's how talents become the best. They never stop growing. They get better and better over time, right? I have a movie coming out very soon, and I feel like that's going to be a very big new wall to break through in terms of like Vinny Pacifico, the brand and the character and the human being. A wrestling movie, of course, not of course, but a wrestling movie, and it's gonna be. I think that's gonna be special, and it's gonna be a lot of growth from that because I'm gonna be growing in ways some talents might not. Acting and just being again able to adapt to different situations. Right, being in a movie setting is a very different situation. And the wrestling is in the movie is very different. So I guess I can't give too much detail about the movie, but like I said, it's going to be very different. So that was a big growth spurt, a growth thing for me because, it was just something so different and so much growth and knowledge being passed on to me from the people that were a part of it. So never stop growing. I'm nowhere near how good I could be, but I'm very confident in my ability to learn things really quick. Also in wrestling, not like a computer. I'm not a computer whiz, but in wrestling, I'm pretty quick to learn things sometimes.
Absolutely. Listen, man, I used to be really good on the fly with technology, but now that I have kids, I'm lazy. Something's wrong with my phone. I ask my 14-year-old, I say, Cass, fix this for me, please. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's why I have kids. That's why I had kids, because I was like, I know technology is going to pass me by. It's okay. Have kids. They're great for that kind of stuff. And they're also great for chores. Free manual labor. You know it. I know. We grew up with that kind of stuff. Free manual labor. My final question before I let you go enjoy your evening with your wife. Rocky Romero. You had a banger, probably my favorite Vinny Pacifico match of all time, and I will put that down. You and Rocky told a story, and a lot of people don't understand that. When I say tell a story, how hard it is to tell a story with no words and be fluid and have that chemistry. I think Rocky Romero brought the best out in Vinny Pacifico, and I do believe that Vinny Pacifico brought the best out in Rocky Romero. And again, that's not kissing your ass. That's just stating facts. But what was it like to wrestle arguably one of, in my opinion, the greatest of all time?
You said it right there. He's literally one of the best. Being in the ring with him was so eye-opening to how good someone could be in the ring, right? I was so like, this guy's amazing. In the ring with him, I'm like, wow, holy shit, he's good, right? And that match was, one of my favorites, if not my favorite. I mean, Paul London was my favorite one too. Like, those are my two favorites. Paul London, Rocky Romero, those two like were really up there. But Rocky was just, he is an amazing mind, talent in the ring, and this is an amazing person too. Just to be around and talk to him and just like soak up knowledge from him. I love being around that guy. He's great in every way. So if you're a wrestler watching this who is going to be around Rocky Romero soon, pick his brain because he is a wonderful person to learn from and a wonderful person to be around and a genius. Like he is where he is for a reason. Do you see where he is?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's exactly. He is where he is for a reason.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. What a great way to end this conversation. Vinny Pacifico, thank you so much for the time. Guys, the dog days of summer are going to be happening sooner than later. July and August, you're going to see this man all over the UK. July, you're going to see him at a quick stop in Canada, and it's going to be insane. Get a chance to see this man on the indies in those intimate settings before he blows up and gets signed. It's not a matter of when he gets signed. It's a matter of where he decides to sign. That's the fact of the matter. As always, guys, peace, love, and wrestling. We will see you next week.
Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on that notification bell so you get notified each time we post a video. Alternatively, you can check us out on all podcast platforms and hosted on Podbean. We are also available on the SNME network. That's the Sunday Nights Main Event Patreon. Please feel free to check us out there as well. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at _Straight Talk on Twitter, at Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram, Straight Talk Wrestling on Facebook, Straight Talk Wrestling on TikTok, and of course, you can check out all our merch at ProWrestlingTees.com.
I don't need a nigga cosign. Without the liquor, you become a victim. You ain't never got a pole mine. I ain't messing with this generation. Fuck your gen.